Evening, folks. It's your man Donald King here to do this thing. How y'all doing tonight? As for me, I've been running lemon bar cheesecake all over town today. I was sharing it with some friends, new friends and old friends, and hopefully I get a chance to catch you all with some of my tasty treats if you're in and about the Dayton area before too long. I like to give away as much as I can, but also I need to purchase materials and have the means to produce, so I catch you when I can. Anyway, what's good with y'all, man? Are y'all familiar with Occam's razor? Are you? I'm guessing you are. It's pretty straightforward. It always says it says the simplest solution is almost always the best. The simplest solution is almost always the best. Right? Now, why do I mention this? Well, because for most people, what they consider to be the simplest answer, the simplest solution, is whatever's most convenient to them. People think the easiest and most sensible answer is the answer that falls closest to mirroring their inner story. If you go to a person who identifies as a Christian and you ask them to explain existence and its many nuanceties and its ins and outs and whatnot, they're going to tell you that how things are explained in the Bible, the text for which their religion is based on, they're going to tell you that how things are explained in the Bible makes the most sense. Right? If you go to a scientist or an academic who is of the belief that evolution is correct, they're going to tell you that evolution is the simplest answer. It's the most correct answer, the most logical answer. From what I've seen, neither are right, but still. To the believer, whatever comes closest to mirroring their belief seems like the simplest, most logical answer. Right? But what no one ever takes into consideration is the fact that in order to preserve the inner story, you have to do a ton of mental gymnastics. You have to flip and duck and dodge. You're like Spider-Man out here trying to defeat reality, which is coming to destroy your beliefs, coming to destroy and invalidate your internal narrative. Right? You see, you don't want the simplest answers. You don't want the correct answers. You want the answers that come closest to mirroring your inner story. I'll give you a simple answer. Humans are a virus to the body of this planet. That's a simple solution, right? I mean, if you look at how a virus performs in any organism it affects or impacts, how does it work? It goes in, and why it attacks and destroys cells, it enslaves cells and splices them up and reconfigures them and inserts its genetic coding into the cells and turns them into beings that ultimately serve to subdue and overtake the body the pathogen has landed on and or invaded. But humans, just by way of how we perform as a species, transmuting things, enslaving things, invading territories, causing major imbalances within the body of this organism. Humans being a virus is a very, very simple answer. Is it convenient, though? Is it convenient to a species that idealizes itself at every turn? A species that thinks its beauty is unique and should take precedence over the beauty of all other things. Is telling humanity that it's a virus convenient to technology. No. Is it convenient to how they want to see themselves? Absolutely not. Again, when you are an agent of corruption, you become an agent of corruption by sort of not interacting, but enacting and or engaging this trifecta: narcissism, competition, and aggression, through which you are turned into an aggressor parasite and you become an extension of society, which is an extension of the greater body of corruption, which is an extension of society is an extension of the greater body of parasitism, which is an extension of the greater body of corruption. However, when you basically create this channel within yourself by engaging your vanity, by engaging your competitive spirit, by engaging your aggression, you turn yourself into a conduit for this entity to manifest through, and as an agent of corruption, you create imbalances everywhere. You destroy, you delight in seeing things suffer and hurt for your amusement and satisfaction. I know some of y'all don't understand what I'm talking about when I say that a parasite is an agent of corruption. A parasite, it corrupts whatever it comes in contact with. If you're talking about at the level of the species, virus is a corrupting phenomenon. It corrupts systems. Anything that's an active agent of a virus, it necessarily is beholden to corruption. It's necessarily beholden to corruption. Why is it important to understand these things? Well, simplest answer is usually correct. However, the correct answer is rarely convenient. Everybody wants to believe that they're the good guy. They can do all sorts of mental gymnastics towards justifying and excusing all the negative impacts they make on the world and others around them. And with some really complicated and complex and intricate storytelling, they can turn themselves into the good guys through storytelling. But there's lots of mental gymnastics in there. Lots of twists and turns, flips and fumbles. Narcissists all believe that they're good. Now, paying attention to the impact you make on others in the world around you to determine whether or not you're good and or a source of comfort, that's simple. That's an easy answer. Hey, how can I tell if I'm a good person or not? Hey, measure the impacts that I make on others in the world around me. Right? And I'm not talking about impacts in the way of disturbing other narcissists by reflecting their own attitudes, actions, and behaviors back to them just as a result of being authentic and transparent. I'm talking about Look at the material impacts you make on others in the world around you to see if you're a narcissist. It's an easy way to determine whether or not you're a good or a bad person. But you see, a narcissist will deflect and flip and fold and turn, and through all of these mental gymnastics come up with the belief, the notion, the idea that they are an inherently good person with nothing to base it on but their own sense of justice and inner story. Super complicated answers, but the complicated answers they come up with, why? Those things are convenient to their inner story. So they assume that their answers are correct and that everyone who doesn't reflect their inner story, their inner dialogue back to them, is just making things too hard. It's making things too complicated. Etc., etc. Occam's razor. Simplest answer is usually correct. Humans are a virus to the body of this planet. Very simple answer. More than likely correct. How do humans justify their existence? Oh, through evolution, we are the apex of potential for species on this planet. But if they were to isolate a group of cells in another organism performing in the exact same way that they perform, they would instantly recognize it as a virus. Why? Because that's the simplest answer. But look at humans with all their intricate storytelling. Oh, we're special. Oh, we're unique among all animals. Oh, we're chosen by God. You sit here and you apply Occam's razor to this whole fiasco that went down with this pandemic through the last year. Occam's razor immediately takes you to, oh, this shit was orchestrated. Oh, this is all part of someone's doing. None of this is happenstance by any stretch of the imagination. How was it spun in media, though? First it was bats, then it was probably cooked up in a lab, then it was SARS-CoV-2 making a jump, which doesn't happen from one species to another in a wet market, to all of a sudden it being on all the items you touch and having to wear gloves, to having to wear masks, to only wearing masks, to getting shots, to not being able to handle money and there being a coin shortage. When you start looking at all of these situational elements just back to back to back, lots of twists and turns, lots of flips and fumbles. Thank God there was a race war to stop people from asking deeper questions, which was also controlled. Right? We got all this complicated information, all of this horrific, this shitty storytelling. It was bad storytelling. It was bad storytelling. We got all of this information. None of it made any sense whatsoever because whoever was crafting the stories couldn't keep pace with their own storytelling efforts and the elements therein, and they dropped the ball several times and counted on your stupidity and your tribalism to cover the spread. It was just bad fucking storytelling. The whole thing. All of it. And I can say that without taking a position on it one way or the other. I don't have to say, oh, there's a virus. oh, there's not a virus. Oh, it was 5G. Oh, I don't have to take a position. The only thing that I'm doing is tracking what happened in reality in real time. It was just bad storytelling. And what made it so bad is it was super complicated, super convoluted. Couldn't keep pace with their own story elements themselves, so they relied on your stupidity and vanity to cover the spread for their shitty storytelling. It's bad. Simple answers were never allowed to be considered. Simple answers were never allowed to be considered. When all this stuff broke, I came across an article from like 2018 that was talking about how 26,740 scientists all signed this petition to block the rollout of 5G. And I don't know what if any effect 5G has had on the death rise or the death toll moving into the COVID era, or whether or not the two phenomena are working in conjunction with one another. What I do know is that an article that came out anywhere from 6 months to a year prior to all the bullshit itemized a bunch of things that would happen to people in the species if this technology was deployed. And this is prior to it happening. And then somehow all of those illnesses, those effects that they had suggested got attributed to this novel coronavirus. What's the simplest answer? I'm not saying what's right or wrong. I'm not speaking against anybody. I'm not trying to promote a counter theory. We're applying Occam's razor to the storytelling surrounding this series of events that came to pass. What makes the most sense? What's the simplest answer? It's really interesting to get into this too, because again, the simplest answer is never the most convenient answer. Take me, for instance. Now I claim to be an avatar. I claim to be an avatar. Weird enough, right? Aren't too many mentally stable people going around claiming to host entities and being, I guess, sort of self-aware and capable of performing at the level of reasoning that I'm able to, all the while demonstrating a rounded personality and generally mentally healthy state of mind. I could probably say that better. But I demonstrate myself to be mentally healthy and capable every single day. There's a lot of people out there who want to believe old Don King is crazy. I got this dude the other day who tagged me in this post about autism. And it was this autism post. And it was such a fucking cowardly thing to do. Yeah, I process information in reality on the spectrum. But also, society doesn't recognize or realize how what the spectrum is or how it works. So, his cowardly play was to try to make me defective so as to assume some measure, some type of superiority over me, as this has been his way of interacting with me for over 30 years. Assume himself to be superior with nothing to support that assessment in reality. Talking down to me. Trying to do that thing that narcissists do. The gaslighting bit. It's annoying. It's cowardly. I hate cowardice with a passion. But look at all the flips and twists and turns. Not just this individual, but many people go through just trying to make me crazy so as to preserve their inner story. Simplest answer. What's the simplest answer? Regardless of what's convenient for you, what's the simplest answer? This man demonstrates himself, I'm referring to myself in this and I'm speaking in the third person. This man demonstrates himself to be mentally stable on all fronts, every day, all day. He says things that maybe don't mirror my own feelings and beliefs. However, he makes sense in everything he says. I've never seen anybody process information and reality like him before. Because he's something that I've never encountered before, it is at least a possibility, a strong possibility that he might be what he's claiming to be. That's the simplest answer. You met anybody smarter than me? And if you think so, you probably met people smarter than me, more intelligent than me. I want to meet the person if you find him. And again, I don't take any personal credit for it. Again, I'm hosting an entity that gives me advantages in that way. But it's like, if you find someone who is sharper than me, bring them to me, please. I don't even want to compete against them. I just want to fucking meet them and interact with them. But simplest answer is, he's something I've never seen. He claims to be something I've never seen before. He might just be that thing. But look at all the twists and turns people take trying to make me defective so as to protect their inner story. Oh, one time he said this, and if we cross-reference this with that from what this psychologist said over there, and we just carry the one, then we can prove once and for all that he's mentally unstable, which means I get to stick to my inner story and that my identity is safe from him destroying it with all the truths he speaks. Look at all the complicated twists and turns you take to preserve what's most convenient to you. Cowards are afraid of the future. Cowards are afraid of what they can't control. Cowards are afraid of everything in reality that makes them feel insecure, inept, unprepared, powerless, and uncertain. You do everything in your power to try to exercise control over me because you don't have control over your own inner story. If someone can invalidate your feelings and beliefs by simply speaking, by simply describing what they see through a perspective not afforded to you, then how much power do you really have in the world? How much power do you have over yourself? That's the question, isn't it? That is the question. Stick into your belief systems. That's convenient. The thing is, none of your belief systems make sense. The stories your belief systems are based on are utterly ridiculous. They sound stupid. They sound like they were written by fifth graders on opium. Took a couple of councils to get the syntax right. and the grammar right, but in terms of storytelling ability, the stories your religions are based on are dumb. They sound fantastic. And I'm not talking about great. I'm talking about they sound like as in fantasy. Fantastical? Is that the word? Is fantastical a word? Maybe. I remember when I was growing up in the Jehovah's Witness faith system, we had all these complex stories and meanings and abridges and all this add-on to try and make sense of these stories, to try and prove to people that we had a better grasp of the Bible and a biblical authority than they did. And when you're sort of divorced from it and away from the dogma for a while, you sit back and you just look at it and you're like, yo, we thought this was high tech? But sticking to what I was then told to refer to as the truth was the most convenient thing. Was it the simplest thing? No. And that's ironic, isn't it? Sometimes the simplest thing is saying no. Sometimes the simplest thing is rejecting something that maybe isn't good for you. Think about it like, I don't know, a romantic relationship, an abusive romantic relationship, right? You ever talked to a person who is being abused? Either physically or emotionally or verbally or situationally, because situational abuse is a thing. I've been in a marriage like that. It's bad. But you ever been in an abusive relationship? Talk to the abusee, the abused party. Simplest answer is leave. Simplest answer is that's not for you. Move on. Especially if they don't have children or anything like that in the picture. Notice how the answers they come up with as to why they should stay are uber complicated. You just don't know how he is. It's like, sometimes he's so sweet and he's so kind. And I know the real him. And I know the... And one time he did this and he did that. He did this and that. He beats you. Leave. No, because you see, what you don't understand about him is this, he has a lot of pressure at work. And he... He put you in the hospital. Leave. No. And again, it goes to this Occam's razor. Which perspective is more accurate? Which one is more than likely the better course of action for the person? Coming up with complicated reasons to justify staying, or doing the hard thing, making the hard decision, giving up what they've invested into the circumstance and simply moving on. Confronting the fear of loss and simply moving on. What's the most logical course of action? Is Donald King crazy? Simple answer, no. He demonstrates himself to be very, very lucid, very self-aware, very capable in the ways of processing information and reality. Now, if you're a narcissist, is Donald King crazy? Yeah, he is. Okay. Why? And you get a laundry list of reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with what can be measured in reality. Complicated reasons, none of which have any sort of basis in reality. Is Donald King an evil man? Simple answer, no. He goes out of his way to be kind and generous to everybody. He's inclusive. He loves to help. He steps up to help. He's generous. He's honest. I feel even terrible giving this list, but just to put it in context, because I know it's a lot of you cowardly motherfuckers out there who like trying to circulate rumors about me. So I'll confront you with the truth. Not really concerned with whether or not you think it makes me narcissistic for itemizing things, your own honesty, itemizing conclusions and effects that can be measured independent of my reports if your own level of honesty was high enough for you to assess it. Is Donald King an evil man? Absolutely not. The impact he makes on the world, the impact he makes on others, his selflessness alone, nothing evil about him. Now, if you're a narcissist, you're going to go for the most convenient answer. Oh, he's evil because he doesn't say that my beliefs are correct. He doesn't say my belief system is correct. He's evil. Cowardly. Okay, cool. Explain it. Give some examples. Oh, well, he said that people who believe in this and that are evil and they're bad. So that means he's evil and he's bad. I said, people, like the other day, one of my sisters chimed in and she was like, yo, you said something that all people who believe in religions are shitty. And I absolutely did. I absolutely said that. Because at a fundamental level, you are forced to lie to yourself. And if you choose lying to yourself in order to preserve a belief system over recognizing and syncing up with reality, then you choose to be corrupt. When maintaining authority is more important to you than recognizing and syncing up with reality and or being honest, it means you're corrupt. And if you're corrupt, he who is faithful in the least is faithful in the most. He who is corrupt in the least is corrupt in the most. You go into your little mega churches out here and you're letting these heathens who Jesus himself said have almost no chance of making it into heaven lead you into blaspheming against God and being greedy, narcissistic little shits. Of course you're terrible. You would sit here and you would wear this brand across your chest, regardless of whether or not you call yourself a Muslim or a Hindu or Christian. You will wear this label and defend this label with all the atrocities that could be attributed to each of your labels respectively. Are you kidding? Riding with the team is more important to you than riding with God? Repping your set is more important to you than repping God, than understanding God, than syncing up with God? Of course you're terrible. You're the worst. That's the simple answer. If preserving your beliefs and preserving your identity and defending your pride is more important to you than recognizing and syncing up with God, you're the bad guy. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's not subjective. That's the simple answer. Complicated answer is, oh, God knows my heart, and if you just read the book here, and it says here that this and that, and that is super complicated. But the more complicated it is the more convenient it is to people's identities and their inner parasite. God blesses me. I'm blessed and highly favored. Says who? Says who? You. God knows my heart. God knows this and that and that. And there's all sorts of backstory that never made it into the Bible that we're just going to add on our pieces so we know that we're right. They create all of this complication. They obfuscate, they inflate, All these mental gymnastics, twists and turns, just to make reality and the reality of the words written in the holy text they subscribe to convenient to what they want to do. Of course you're shitty. That's the simplest answer. You're good at acting. You're good at pretending to be good to other humans. In reality, you are terrible. You make negative impacts on others in the world around you. You delight in the imbalances that those you feel aligned with and who you feel ideologically linked to. You delight in the imbalances and the aggressions they cause to the world and take out on others. Of course you're terrible. Because again, humanity is a virus. All viruses are agents of parasitism, and all agents of parasitism are agents of corruption. It's not convenient to hear that, I know. Doesn't make it any less true. If you study any virus in any body, compare their behaviors to how humans behave on the body of this planet, does it align? Like, even if you look at it from an evolutionary standpoint, like, let's say that you are a scientist and you believe in the theory of evolution. You mean to tell me you have all of these species like chimps and gorillas and all these other non-parasitic species that have strong structural building blocks, strong joints? Look at how strong a gorilla is. Look at how strong an undomesticated pig is. Look at how strong a dolphin is. Look at how their bodies are put together. Now look at our weak, frail bodies. This soft skin, easily punctured. Weak bones, weak joints. Good for slaving. We real good for slaving. And weak enough to be dispatched with easily should we decide to rise up. If you're looking at the progress of all these life forms, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, this new species, this softer species, this one that has natural limits and deficits that require it to create technologies in order to supplement its existence. How the fuck are we the apex of anything? How did everything get stronger all the way until us? We got weaker. And our minds aren't even really stronger. They're only sort of pre-programmed to learn how to transmute resources in order to offset natural deficits in the same way you would expect a virus entering your body to cause sores and all those other things, trying to while its building blocks are trying to make themselves comfortable at your benefit and expense. Like, even evolution says we're a virus. Even evolution says humans are a virus, or humanity, or society by proxy of humanity. Yeah, man. I got anybody out there with me tonight? Is there anybody on the feed? I know I've been pushing y'all a little bit lately. Man, if y'all are feeling like, if y'all are broken by what I'm saying to this point, I really wonder, I worry for you about what's coming, because shit is only going to get more intense from here. If you spend that much time being weak and holed up in your inner story, what are you going to do when the real shit starts going down? Like, y'all got some fragile spirits, man. You got fragile spirits. And everything that I do, it's not designed to hurt you. It's designed to help you. This is all coming to a head, guys. And when the axe falls, you want to be on the right side of it. And it's coming. I hate not being able to give an exact time and date. But in a certain way, I'm kind of glad that I can't. Because there will be no 11th hour saves here. You are responsible for making sure you cross the threshold. You can't wait till the 11th hour and then go sprinting. You have to realize that the world behind you and the ground beneath you is collapsing. And you have to go charging full speed ahead towards making it across that threshold. This isn't a game. Again, I'm not doing this for attention. I'm not doing this for praise. I'm doing this because this is my life's work. Given to me at a time when I thought such things could not exist. And I'm going to see it through. And God help whoever gets in the way or tries to let their vanity, or not try to let their vanity, but who allows their vanity to try to let them delay, derail, and deter. I hate cowardice. That is a simple answer. Cowardice leads to corruption. Simple answer. And it's true. They say power corrupts. Power awarded to cowards corrupts. Power in the hands of a person who is an authentic leader isn't power in their hands. It's power in everyone's hands. That person has a bike. Yeah. You got to be brave, guys. You got to be brave. And in being brave, you have to face the simple answers. Not only beeline towards the most convenient answers. The convenient answer always says, you're right. Brother Angel, I see you and I love you, man. You are my guy. Literally love you, man. You're my dog. My brother. Convenient answer always says that you're right. Simplest answer says you're not. And I want you to think about that in the grand scheme of things. Society is always wrong. At a mechanical level, society is and almost always must be wrong. I'll say always must be wrong because if it isn't, it means there's no more room for growth or development. Everything you think you know now is in some way, shape, or form wrong. That's the simplest answer. Everything you think you know is in some way, shape, or form wrong, and the only thing that makes it right by any stretch of the imagination is its applicability to the context you currently perform within. Everything you think you know is wrong. That's the simplest answer. Because if it weren't, where could you move from here? What could you learn? What you think is absolute today will be overturned tomorrow, and what you think is absolute tomorrow will be overturned in the years to come. That is a certainty. Of course, unless you're an avatar, in which case you can sort of see principles. But even in me reading principles, and even after having gone through the process of becoming a sort of makeshift lexicographer, I'm still forced to contend with the fact that human languages are so inept that even as I describe principles to you through them, there has to be a skew. If there were a more advanced language out there, one that was more principle based than the drivel I have access to right now, why I could probably be more succinct, and or the entity performing through me could be more succinct in capturing and conveying principles to the species. So even in me making that assessment, the simplest answer is even I, to some degree, based on having to work with flawed tools, must be wrong to some extent or another. Compared to this species, though, yeah, it's pretty much infallible at a conceptual level. So, and here we are. Here we are. Again, answers that are most convenient to you might seem simple because they're close to what you know, but the more you start to unpack your nebulous feelings and beliefs is the more that you're probably going to realize most of your feelings and beliefs are mad complicated and convoluted and paradoxical and take all sorts of twists and turns and do all sorts of mental gymnastics that are absolutely unnecessary towards moving in the direction of understanding. What is the simplest answer? Am I a crazy person? Or am I what I claim to be? If you watch these videos, if you check out my video series, and watch more than one or two of them, you've got somebody just talking at a camera, demonstrating their awareness for self with respect and in relation to the things they say and the types of impacts the things they say make on others in terms of perceptual imprints. I demonstrate a high level of self-awareness and empathy and humor and compassion. Simplest answer is, I'm very sane. I'm very sane. You can measure it. Complicated answer. Oh God. See, the problem is, it's like, when he was a kid, this happened, and so he sees this now, and it's too much. All the twists and turns we take to protect our little identities. All the hoops we jump through, and the gymnastics and tucks and flips and tumbles, just to preserve the collection of meanings, symbols, beliefs, stories, habits, practices, and social effects and treatments we collect and seek to self-actualize through, towards creating and performing through the story we tell ourselves about the world around us and our place and value within it. The simplest answer is almost never the most convenient answer. Rarely, if ever, the most convenient answer. And the funny part about it is, the simplest answers are usually the hardest to accept. The simplest answers are the hardest to accept. Which is why even considering the simplest answers requires a high level of bravery. A high level of bravery. Anywho, my people, my Negroes, y'all already know what it is. I'm Donald King. I shoot these podcasts on Mondays and Wednesdays. Brother, absurd the word. He's come in. Why would something simple be difficult to accept? Oh, that's a great question, Brother Absurd. Simple answers are always going to be hard to accept. If you mentioned it earlier, I apologize. I missed it. Not to worry, not to worry. I'm happy to break it down again. The simplest answers are usually the hardest to accept because there's no wiggle room. The simplest answers are the hardest to accept because there's no wiggle room. You see, the beauty of idealism is that it can make all things subjective. When you get into simple answers, you start getting into things that are a bit more concrete. They have less ability to impose perceptual skew onto them, which means they're probably going to be a little bit more grounded in reality. All right? Again, cowardice is a fear of and an unwillingness to sort of face and sync up with reality. So imagine like this. Like imagine a person is experiencing physical ailments, right? Imagine they're used to feeling healthy. And all of a sudden they get a boil on their skin. And like, oh, that's nothing. It's like, see what had happened was I was in the sun, and the sun touched me right there, and it's like, it's just a little sunburn, but it's like it's a little swelling, it'll go down a little bit. Right? But then they get another symptom and another symptom and another symptom. And they're like, oh man. Now, the simple answer is, hey, this is part of aging. That's not the simple answer. That's the convenient answer. The convenient answer is, oh, this is part of aging, and I just this, that, and that, and that. The simplest answer is, something is imbalanced in my body. I don't know what it is, but something's off. And then starts the investigation process. You know what I'm saying? There's an imbalance in me, and I need to get to the bottom of it. How? And that requires bravery. Admitting that something is off requires bravery, much in the same way that a narcissist, even after dealing with all the traumas and the ups and downs and the fear of being disempowered, which is trauma, and all those other things, the simple answer is there's something wrong with me. The complicated answer and the go-to answer is there's something wrong with everyone else. If you're in relationship after relationship and each relationship fails, and they fail all because people are continually telling you, hey, this is the way that you impact on me. This is the way that you treat me. Yeah. The simple answer would be, hey, maybe there's something about me that's off. Complex answer is, oh, everybody's just jealous and they're hating because I'm special and I'm unique, and it's too much. It's too much. So to answer your question directly, why would something simple be difficult to accept? Simple things are usually difficult to accept because they're more than likely closer to reality. They have less potential for perceptual skew. Kind of like 1 + 1 = 2. That's simple enough. You start getting into some of the higher and more complex levels of math, and with enough symbology and perceptual manipulation, why you can make 1 + 1 = 5. Hopefully I answered that well enough for you. Guys, also, I shoot these Mondays and Wednesdays on Facebook Live. I am on Instagram, Avatar Cycle XIII. That's Avatar Cycle 13. I fly all of these podcasts over to my YouTube channel. Speaking of which, I need to go ahead and get that done because I think I might be about 4 or 5 in the rears. I got to check that out. And definitely uploading those tonight, or trying to upload them tonight. And I post content to Medium. Short stories, essays, parables, and essay series actually. So if you get a chance to scroll on over and check it out. You'll be happy you did. Yo, if you get any sort of appreciation out of what I do and you want to see me reach a larger audience, always feel free to join the Patreon family. You can find me on Patreon at Avatar Cycle XIII. That's Avatar Cycle 13. And if you get any sort of appreciation out of what I do in these podcasts and you just want to salt bay your boy with a little bit of love, you can always hit me up on Cash App at Donnie King. Again, proceeds go to building this up to a larger platform. I'm trying to reach as many people as I can before I get out of this body. And I don't know how much time I have in it. So, yeah, this is going down. This is happening. And I am on a recon mission. I'm trying to find and touch and interact with as many people who are salvageable as possible. Yeah. And there it is. So, anywho, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. We're going to go back to the mainframe. Yeah, man. Simplest answer and convenient answer are almost never the same. The most convenient answer is usually wrong. If you honestly think that somehow you're lucky among all humans and that you just happen to be born into a community that worships the right God and says the right prayers, facing the right direction, and you think for 1 second that you just lucked your way into the truth without doing any sort of investigatory work whatsoever, that's a convenient answer. Is it a correct answer? More than likely not. If you think that you're the best because of the color of your skin, and your skin just happens to have an advantage over others, or give you social advantages over others, is it true? More than likely not. Simple answers and convenient answers are almost never the same. Convenient answers are answers that serve to supplement, protect, and preserve your identity. Simple answers have nothing to do with you. Simple answers take you towards reality. Convenient answers point you back in the direction of the mirror. Which, unfortunately for many of you, is who and what you worship. You worship the mirror. And assuming that you were good, and assuming that you were right, and that you deserve more than others. That's convenient as hell, isn't it? It's your man. I'm out.